Aye, shepherd's pie, greetings from the Philippines. Welcome back to the channel. And today's a big day because we're sitting down with my good friend EUAN, and it's been a while setting up this interview. He's an interesting chap, but he's a very busy chap. He's got to be the hardest working bar owner I've met in my entire expat adventure.
Oh, thank you very much for that one.
No, but you are, mate, you are.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, EUAN is the owner at Sideways. It's a fantastic bar in Dumaguete. If you live in Dumaguete, I'm sure you know it. If you watch the channel, you know I talk about it a lot because it's where I do my quiz on a Thursday night. So get yourselves down if you're in Dumaguete. But enough about that, let's crack on with the interview. So EUAN, tell us a little about yourself, mate. Where'd you come from? Where did it all begin?
Well, I'm South African, which is a bit different for Dumaguete, but there are a number of South Africans here. I was born in South Africa and I grew up and went to school in Pretoria. And then after I finished school, I joined the Navy.
Oh, right.
We had conscription then, those days. We were fighting our own private war. And so I joined permanent force in the Navy, and I went to Cape Town, and I stayed on the coast ever since. And I'm still living on the coast.
Oh, you still got a place in?
Yeah, well, Dumaguete's on the coast.
Okay, right. can't get a sailor away from the sea.
Okay, yeah. Once I got to the sea, I've never moved away from it really.
So what did you do when you left the Navy? What was your career before you came to Dumaguete?
Well, after I left the Navy, I basically went to the brewing industry, and I worked in the beer business for 30 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what eventually got me to Dumaguete.
What were you doing in the beer business? You were like running bars or running a company or what?
Oh, no, nothing as spectacular as that. I was in manufacturing. I started off as an engineering manager in a small brewery, and I worked my way through the system, became a plant manager, and then eventually in 2000, this is after the 1994, SAB, the company I worked for, South African Breweries, went international, and they bought Miller's in America and became SAB Miller. Then they opened up in China, and fortunately I was in the right place at the right time to pick up a position in China in 2000. So I started to work offshore and in Asia from 2000. And I worked in China and India a lot of the time.
Wow. So
that's what got me to Philippines.
Working in India got you to the Philippines?
Yeah, well, working in Asia, you go on holiday in Asia.
Yeah.
For me to fly to South Africa, it took like about 28 hours.
Okay.
So it was far easier for the 3 holidays a year. My friends and I, we used to fly across to either Thailand or the Philippines or Vietnam on the holidays. We had 3 weekly holidays in China.
Wow.
They're having their spring festival now. Chinese New Year starts today, mind you.
Do they celebrate that?
Yeah, the snake.
Do the Filipinos celebrate that?
No, not much, a little bit.
But
in China, they're off for a week. It's the biggest migration of people in China every year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right? So, how did you end up in the Philippines per se, though?
Well, there were a number of factors. My one very good friend and I, his name's Kevin, we used to come here on holiday, and we really liked the place. Then, the manager of the Holiday Inn Hotel in Shenyang, where we were based, he was a Rhodesian, which helped because we were both South Africans, and Rhodesia was just up the road, Zimbabwe now. And he got transferred from the Holiday Inn to Manila. So we came to Manila one day, and that's how it really started, or to see him. And then we really got caught up into Philippines, and I kept on coming back. And of course I met Sylvia at the same time, who's my wife now.
Well, there you go. You see, I thought I knew everything. I wasn't expecting that. I thought you'd met Sylvia through the job and you got married, and that's why you came to the Philippines. But it wasn't like that at all. You came to the Philippines and that's how you met Sylvia.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that's what threw me then. There you go.
Just as well we're having the interview.
Just as well we're having the interview.
Straighten all these things out.
I've learned something new. So at what point did you decide that you were going to... I mean, you married Sylvia, presumably before you opened the bar? Or...
Yeah, a couple of years before, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what age were you when you decided you were going to move here and open a business then? And that was...
Well, one of my other better friends, him and I, when we worked together offshore in the 70s, we were going to open a bar then, at that time. Okay, and he was in the Navy, he stayed in the Navy, and he's still around. He retired a Rear Admiral, so I had good friends. Anyway, I've always had the idea of opening a bar. So when eventually I retired, when we came down here, I said to Sylvia, we're either going to open a bar or a coffee shop or something to do something.
Right.
And then this bar came up on the market just after we arrived here, 1 month after we arrived here. And we said, are we going to do it? And yes, we did it at the worst possible time, because 6 weeks later we were closed down for 3 months.
Why were you closed down for 3 months?
COVID. Yeah,
right.
we started 5 years ago to the day, virtually now. And then in March, I think it was about the 20th of March, 17th or the 20th of March, they closed Dumaguete down under lockdown.
That must have been a hell of a shock to you. I mean, no one saw that coming.
Well, no. Nobody saw it in the world. I mean, the whole world is in a state of shock. And we're still recovering.
So how did you feel about it? Because I mean, I'm amazed by what you've just said, because I've always wanted to open a bar. I've always had the idea to open a bar, but I've realised it's incredibly difficult to do, and it's the biggest mistake most people make, and that's put me off. But you've probably done more travelling than me, but that didn't daunt you. You still thought you were going to do it regardless, even though you know how hard it can be, you still did it.
Well, like I told you, from the 70s, one of the retirement plans, my bucket list was opening a bar.
Yeah, I can get that.
And like I said, when we got here, it just came on the market and it was reasonably priced.
And you just took the plunge, you just did it?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you think? Because it's a big step to take. So it's not a step I would take. I mean, because I just know from watching you how much hard work it is and how many bars fail. So you're taking the plunge, and then 3 months later, it's COVID. You must have thought, Christ, what have I done to deserve this?
Basically, yeah. But I mean, everybody was, the impact of COVID was so far reaching. It impacted everybody. I was just one of those that impacted. That net was thrown so wide, and it just caught everybody in it.
So how did you cope? What was it like here in COVID? I mean, did everyone have to shut? I mean, what was the situation?
Well, post-COVID was a very, very interesting time. And I think it was about the best time we had, the 2 years after COVID started to reopen. It was excellent. We had an excellent time here. One of the reasons was, even though we opened, we had constraints. We could only open at like 8 o'clock in the morning. We had to be closed at 10 because of curfew. But during that course of time, everybody was locked into Dumaguete. Nobody could travel. So they had nowhere to go. So you had a
captive audience?
So yeah, we had a captive audience. We offered a community service, and that's where we started the quiz shows. It was run by Andrew at that time. He did an excellent job. This place used to be packed on Mondays. And we used to have Friday night bands. The band people who came and played were like celebs, because the place was so full. There's nobody else offering music. Remember, the boulevard was closed down. We reopened because they call them fresco. We open air places, as you can see in the background.
Because you're open air, you were
allowed to. We open air, and there was only us, flip-flops up the road, and Brew Garden. And we had the captive audience. There was one other bar open in the park.
So I suppose places like Why Not, they just had to shut completely because it's all
Why
inside.
Not was closed. Well, after about the first 8 to 9 months, Why Not started to open in the evenings, but only at 9 o'clock they could open. They went open the rest of the day, and a whole lot of the people, the girls and that from Why Not, used to come here first, and then at 9 o'clock used to go down. And that just our turnover was unbelievable.
So you basically had 3 months where you had to shut, and then you opened, and you had certain restrictions.
Then it started to ramp up. I mean,
but you were making money, and it was busy, and everyone was having a great time.
Yeah, we had the 30, President 30 at the time, he established this board, this controlling body, the IATF, and they were running the show. And they would come up with the craziest ideas and the craziest things, which we had to abide to. And then there was actually a humorous side to it as well.
Well, go on, what was the humorous side to it?
What a humorous side. Okay, firstly, everybody had to wear face masks. So when you were eating, you were allowed to move your face mask.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Then people had to be spaced 1 meter apart. So you weren't allowed to be closer. You only could have so many people in your place, depending on square area. So we could have about 24 people seated in here at the bar and at the tables at the time. And then this was enforced by the enforcers, and the enforcers were the real police. They all wear battle fatigues. They pull up in a car. They take their stations on either entrance to the bar,
Is that
across
right?
the road, and then the woman would come in from the health department escorted, and she'd look around to make sure nobody was sitting too close to each other. Those
Wow.
not eating had masks on.
Wow.
And then they'd be satisfied with that. Fortunately, we had Sylvia.
Yeah.
She was our liaison person, our spokesperson, and she handled these people who came in. Then they move from here, and they do the same at flip-flops, and everybody would go out in the road. Remember, there was very little traffic at that stage because everybody had to be in bed at 10 o'clock. So there's no traffic going up and down. Then the people would migrate into the road and watch the action at flip-flops, where they pull in, position themselves, go in and go out. So it was like entertainment provided for us by the IATF enforcing the rules.
Well, that has blown my mind, because I can totally relate to them bringing ridiculous rules in, because there's a lot of ridiculous rules in the Philippines. But the idea of them enforcing them, because as you know, there's lots of rules here, but no one enforces them.
Well, there were only 3 bars here in Dumaguete.
Yeah.
All the rest were closed.
So you had the guards out there, you had the woman come in. That was amazing.
It was very good. It was pretty entertaining, actually. And the people, oh yeah, they come, and everybody passed on and separate from themselves.
Wow. And that went on for what, 2 years, you say?
No, that went on for about 8-9 months.
8-9 months.
Then they started to lift it slowly. They started to lift the restrictions. The restrictions finally got lifted in 2024 in July.
Okay.
23rd of July was the last of the restrictions, but up to them they sort of started relaxing them and people could start moving around. The first year after COVID, first 18 months, you couldn't leave Dumaguete, and then if you did leave, you had to have a reams of paperwork and certificates and this and that to get on an aeroplane and to get into a hotel anywhere else in Cebu, Manila, Davao, wherever you went to. Yeah, the stuff.
So you mentioned 3 expat bars that were open.
Yeah.
How many expat bars were there in total before then? Because presumably some must have gone out of business, the ones that had to shut. I mean...
Yeah, well, you see, you can't compare Dumaguete now to what it was then. There was no North Point. There was a Tiki bar, was the only bar up there, and Lantau and High. That was all up on that side of town.
Oh, really?
Now it's completely built up. I mean, it's really the social centre of Dumaguete.
The North Point?
Yeah, North Point. They are our biggest competition.
Yeah.
Not the other expat bars, it's North Point. They just attract so many people.
So I was imagining that there were loads of bars that had all gone under. But there wasn't then. There weren't many expat bars.
There was Game On or Bogarts.
Yeah.
They closed.
Yeah.
They just couldn't sustain themselves, but they closed down the whole of the boulevard.
Right.
Remember, he was a closed bar. He wasn't a fresco bar.
Right.
He was closed. Why Not was closed.
Yeah.
San Rival was a restaurant on the open side. You could go in there if they let you in. Because one of the rulings at that time were if you're over 60 years old, you couldn't go into a restaurant.
Yeah.
And they used to check the guys. If you look pretty old, they'd want to see your ID.
Yeah.
And if they wouldn't let you in. And I think San Rival, they used to enforce that stringently. And they lost a lot of customers because of that.
Okay, well that's interesting, because the question I was going to ask is, I mean, as you know, I've only been here 15 months. But people keep saying to me, and I'm not just talking about expats, I'm talking about Filipinos and things, what a fantastic place Dumaguete was before COVID. And it's never recovered. Now I assume that was because there were like hundreds of expat bars and they'd gone under, but from what you're saying, there wasn't.
There weren't that many bars, but the people coming here, I think tourism has dropped down from about 8 million to where it currently is now, about 4 or 5 million a year. So you're missing 3 million people coming to the Philippines.
Right.
I read somewhere last week, in the last 2 years, they've lost 3 trillion pesos of income from tourism over the last 2 years. Each year, is about 3 trillion. I'm subject to correction, of course, but it's pretty close.
So why do you think that is then? Why aren't people
Well,
coming?
the people, why aren't they coming now? I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. Ask the.
So Dumaguete basically now then is much quite. That's what people are getting at. It's not that the bars are closed. It's just not as busy. There aren't as many tourists. So there's not as much money.
Well, so Bauhol's taken over. They've got an international airport there now, so people fly directly into there. A lot of people come here and they get on the boats and they go across the Sikihor. Sikihor attracts them. Some guys told me, this is conspiracy theory again, that during the COVID shutdown, all the local people fished out all the waters. They caught all the fish down our coast. On our coast, down Darwin, Bacan area, down to Apple Island. So there's no fish life left. And the fish life has got to rehabilitate itself because they had nothing to eat or very little to eat. You know, we used to get, not me, unfortunately not me, but the people used to get rice rations and food rations every week from the IATF again. They used to come here and the people used to queue up and get food because nobody was working, there was no industry running.
That must be tough.
Yeah, it was impacted, like I said, it impacted everybody.
So when they had all these really strict rules in here and you couldn't let people in, you had to be separated, what was going on with the jeepneys then? Were they still jam-packed with people, the jeepneys and things? Or
No, the trikes, they could only have 2 passengers. Or some of them, if they had a back seat, 3 passengers. And they were complaining as well, because you know how they ride. If you don't ride privately, and you pay extra, they put in, everybody chips in like 10 or 20 pesos for a ride. So they made a lot of money. Yeah, the trike riders were battling, because they could only have like 2 people in there. They couldn't be too close.
Right, that's interesting, because I often wonder when you see that, not the trikes but the jeepneys, you know, they go up to Valencia and they got like 40, 50 people in them.
Yeah,
and you think,
the jeepneys had screens. You know that 1 meter rule I told you about?
Yeah.
They had to drop screens, they had plastic screens between each seat, spaced 1 meter apart. I just remembered that. That's a good one.
Who paid for that then?
Huh?
Did the jeepneys have to pay themselves? Was the government
No, the jeepneys doesn't make that much money. And the people weren't being transported in mass numbers. Remember, all the kids were at home. The schools were closed for over a year. So the kids were allowed nowhere. There were no kids anywhere. So the migration of people around town and up and down was limited. It was beautiful coming to work and driving in the streets with nobody in the streets. Yeah, it was good.
So I know there's a lot of bars. I mean, there are now. I'm not going to try and calculate it. There's not a lot of expat bars. There are a lot of expat bars in Dumaguete now, stroke Valencia, Bacong, but none of them have got many customers. But you do, EUAN. You're doing, you know, a lot better than the vast majority of the new bars in terms of, you know, well, a lot of people come here. You've got a little community going, haven't you? What's your secret? How do you manage that? What's the secret to having a successful business over there?
Well, we manage it with difficulty. With difficulty. It's not a joke having a lot of bars here. The cake's only so big, and the slices have just got smaller and smaller and smaller. One of the advantages we have is your quiz on Thursday nights, that attracts people. The quiz on Monday night, which we do, which we carried over from Andrew, which attracts people. We have a darts evening here. But now, look at the darts. We used to have, we had to put up an extra board behind the flag here because we had so many dart players. Now, there's a bar down the road in Bunny Lads open. There's another bar up the road here has open darts, and I think Kingswick tried darts as well for a time. So there's about 3 or 4 places now that hold darts competitions in the week. So it's like kill the golden goose.
Someone gets a good idea, everyone copies and it for everyone.
But we still have that, and it still works. And then we try different things. Got to be innovative all the time. Silvio's just started off as salsa dancing, now it's dancing on Friday nights, where we got dance instructors, they call them DIs, not detective inspectors in England, but DIs. They don't work for the Metropolitan.
Oh, that's the old
Police.
salsa on the Friday.
Yeah, and it's winning now. It's a winner for now. For how long we don't know, and it's very popular.
Yeah.
I'll do a bit of advertising.
No, you should do, mate.
On Valentine's Day, we're not even having a Valentine's dinner,
Right.
because there are so many fine dining places now. We're not a fine dining place. We're a sort of a bar.
Good, honest food.
Yeah, just sort of pub food. So nobody's going to take out their beautiful darlings to a pub for a pub meal. But having said that, they finish eating about 8 o'clock. So from 8, we're having a Valentine's salsa night, dancing. So the people can come in here and dance. And the guys that don't want to dance, we've got the dance instructors to dance with the women. We've
So they
got
can
a
sit at the
couple
bar
of
and have a
women
drink and
dance
a dance.
instructors to dance with the guys who want to dance.
That's nice.
And we're going to have a photo booth up, so you can really have a good party after your fine dining dinner, getting dressed up here in Sideways on Valentine's Day, which is a Friday.
I may well pop down for that, but I'll be sitting at the bar and can dance with the DI. I can have a couple of beers.
Yeah, that's right.
I like the idea of that. So basically, your secret is you work damn hard and you have variety and you just push things and you're always trying something new.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
And you've got the support of a lot of locals here. I mean, that's one question I'll ask you, which I hadn't thought of. What percentage of your customers here are tourists? What percentage, I mean, roughly, are
tourists.
locals, and what percentage are Filipinos? You know, roughly.
No. You've got three different categories.
Yeah.
You got the expats who live here, who are resident in Dumaguete.
And I'm imagining that's your majority.
Like you and I.
Yeah.
Okay, that's about maybe 60-70% of our people, the customers. Remember, we've also got sports.
Yeah.
We're the only real sports bar in Dumaguete. We got sport on every morning, in the evenings, on Saturday nights. So we are a proper sports bar. The others show sports when they want to see it. Octagon's a good sports bar, but we're talking about Dumaguete. Octagon's in Bacon. Okay. So we're a sports bar as well. So we get good following there, especially from the Americans. Because to our advantage, the NFL is in the mornings. Sunday night footballs on Monday morning, Monday night footballs on Tuesday morning, Thursday night footballs on Friday morning. So we got the people who come in, and then you've got the guys who follow certain teams, and then they get together with their friends who come and watch. I mean, in the playoff between the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills 3 days ago, this place was full.
I've been surprised by that, because I'm not really here in the mornings. I come in for breakfast sometimes, but I always thought in the evening, when I'm doing the quizzes and things, you know, there's a few Americans, but it's mainly Europeans. There's a lot of British, there's a lot of whatever. But you come here in the mornings, it's all Americans, it's Yanks.
Yeah, they're all Americans.
Yeah, they're all Americans.
Yeah, and we make a good English American breakfast. We've got biscuits and gravy and a few things like that, which they enjoy.
This is I think I've done a video, I'll be doing one shortly about the breakfast. This is where I come for my breakfast. There's a fantastic full English breakfast here. But yeah, I'll pop that in another video. I might even have one now, I might add it on the end. But okay, so we talked about this part, and you know, to be honest with you chaps, if you come over here...
we're talking about the ratio
Oh yeah, the
of
ratio,
people.
sorry, yeah, carry on you, and I'm terrible, I get carried away.
Okay, so that's about 70%. Then we got the tourists. I think the guys I spoke to earlier on the bar, they visitors here. We've got about 10 or 15% visitors who come in. Because Sylvia does an excellent job of promoting Sideways. We've always got our photographs of our quizzes up. We always advertise our sport. So if you go on Sideways website, you can see what's going on in advertising. Then we got the dancing now, which is a lot of Filipino women come to that. Middle-aged women, they come to that. And then we have got a nice Philippine following, where some of the people have stayed in America. They come and watch a football and they get to know the guys. The Filipinos love their UFC on Sunday mornings. When we got a big fight here, they all here.
Is that right?
Yeah, so they come to watch the fighting. They love to beat each other up. And
I thought it's just cops they like watching fighting.
Yeah, then we got a couple of regulars who do come in. We've become friends over the years and that, but they sort of come in and out as they require, not all the time. Yeah, so they make up about 5-10%. about 20% is visitors coming through, and the other are people who live here. And are sort of our they are our bread and butter. Without them, without those people, they are our best customers. We wouldn't survive.
Well, it's not really a tourist destination, is it? So I can imagine that. But you do well in terms of the Filipinos, because that's one thing I have noticed about it. A few of the other expat bars I go to, it's mainly expats. Don't really get a lot of Filipinos apart from girlfriends and things. But like you say, sometimes you'll come in here and there'll be a lot. I mean, there's a few Filipinos do the quiz, and you've got the karaoke, so that is good. So we know the secret to your success.
Oh, that's some water, excuse me.
No, help yourself, mate. It's we're very informal on this channel.
Okay. Oh, good. Thank you.
So, the secret to your success is obviously you're working hard and you always try new things, and you've established yourself and you've got a good community. There will be a lot of people like you, in the sense, who've got it on their bucket list to open a bar and are thinking about coming to the Philippines, or I'd say the same kind of rules apply to the Philippines they do to Thailand or anywhere. It's still the same kind of thing, that you open a bar. What advice would you give them apart from don't do it?
Don't do it. Yeah, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work. And a lot of people just open a bar and they think they can make something of it, and they haven't got a name, the people don't know about them. They become the flavor of the month. The people go there for a while and then they dwindle away, and they go back to places they know and where they are known. And
so they have like a honeymoon period,
then they close down. Yeah, there are exceptions to the rule. I mean, when George took over Game On the Boulevard, which used to be Bogart's, he made an instant success of that. But I mean, that was just an exception to the rule. He was very good. You've got Break Time up at North Point, Uwe. He's been around for longer than we have, and he just plugs away, he chips away at it like we do. He's also got his regular customers. He's got a nice place, got a sea view. So, and I know most of his customers who go there, they come
I know a lot of them from there.
And they just chip away at it all the time. Yeah.
So is it easy to open a bar in the Philippines? I mean, in terms of the paperwork and all that kind of stuff?
No, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. Firstly, you've got to have a Filipino partner.
You have to have a partner?
You've got to have a partner. Okay. So a Filipino, a person,
oh yeah, everyone's 51, but yeah, I get that, yeah.
Then you've got to apply for a license. Before you even start, you've got to get a permit to open a bar. Then you open the bar, and a lot goes with the name, if you can sell drink or not. Like you notice, we don't sell cigarettes here. The Sorry store off the road gets all our business, and the guys run up and buy cigarettes here because we can't sell cigarettes with the type of bar we are.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know they were like that.
So anyway, then you can open a place, you can rent a place, you can put up a name, register with the tax officers, the BIR officers, and you're away. And it's very easy to open a bar here. And it's become it's very easy now, and that's why so many bars are opening, but so many of them are closing as well.
So I don't want to put you in a difficult position here, but I have heard from other bar owners that, let's say, the powers that be here aren't particularly friendly to expat bars.
The what?
The powers that be. I don't want to name the titles, but you know, the local government.
Yeah.
They're not very receptive to expat bars. That they enforce the rules about the music and that more with expat bars than they do with Filipino bars and things. And
they enforced the rules of the music during the COVID era, which was not even, it's only 6 months it's been lifted.
Yeah.
They used to enforce the rules, and then they had the curfews of 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Yeah. I think there's still a curfew at 3 o'clock in the morning now.
Yeah. I'm not saying what people say, but you'll know.
And they enforce them. But the other thing is, it's the people who live in the area. If our noise is too loud, the woman up the road here, 2 houses down from us, she tolerates it till about 11:30. Then she comes out here shaking her finger.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and the youngsters come in and tell the bands they must pipe down. That's why our bands finish 11, past 11.
But this is the place where people play their karaoke all night until 4 o'clock in the morning.
But she's trying to sleep. And if we don't turn it down, they'll call the police.
Right.
And the police will come and say, hey guys, You've got to tone it down, and they do that, yes.
And if they do come out and say that to you, do you like get a warning and after a couple you get a fine? How does that work in terms of you break the
Well,
rules?
we've never got to that stage, I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Okay, so basically to sum things up, you had your best period during COVID,
Yeah.
but since then you've taken a licking, but you keep on ticking. You wouldn't advise anyone else to necessarily open a bar unless they're prepared for a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work.
Which it is, fellas, because I tell you now, when I was in Thailand, when I was in Pattaya, you literally, I think it was something ridiculous, like 97% of the businesses over there or something went under every 12 months. Because people came there, they'd open a bar, they thought they could just sit at a bar and have a drink, and it doesn't work that way. It takes a hell of a lot of work to make a bar open. But anyway, I've got sidetracked there. So is there anything else you want to tell us about the bar, EUAN? Because I know you're busy, I've taken up a lot of your time. Is there any other sales pitch you want to do or anything like that? Or any other information a wise chap like you would pass on to the channel?
Well, I think you've said it all. So, and my advice to you is, if you want to open a bar, be in your 50s, 60s. Don't leave it too late, because it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort. And if you've got other plans, you want to do other things, you can't do both.
Oh, you mean it's a full-time commitment?
Yeah, it's a full-time commitment, 7 days a week. And it's very difficult to get away. And you've got to be hands-on. The reason why you say I work so hard is because you see me here every day, either Sylvia or I, and we're hands-on. We've got to be hands-on all the time.
So if you're thinking about buying a bar, getting a Filipino manager, just walking away and counting your money, you think again.
Think again, yeah, that's a message, yeah, it's very true.
Okay, just one last question, because you just brought that to my attention then. What are your long-term plans about Prime? How much long do you know, are you planning for like the next 20 years to keep sideways going?
No. We're actually starting to wind down now.
Okay.
So if anybody really interested in making us an offer, we'll have a look at it, we can speak about it, and we can go through the transition with them, because both Sylvia and I are tired. We've had 5 years now.
Okay, I didn't know
5
that.
years, yeah, we are tired. And like I've just explained to you, we had a bit of hardship on the way. But I mean, everybody had the same hardship. We just made fun of it. But we sort of rode the wave while there is waves down now.
So without being too personal, if a buyer came along and they took over, what would you do? What would your plans be? Stay in Dumaguete? Or are you going to go off to Hawaii or somewhere? Or what? You must talk about it.
No, we came to Dumaguete. We spent a good 3 or 4 years looking around at different places around Philippines before we came here. So when the guys come in here, they say they're on a visit on a look-see, and they've been here and they've been there. I know exactly what they're talking about. I did exactly the same thing. And we decided to come to Dumaguete. We like Dumaguete. Dumaguete is a fantastic town. Yeah, the traffic can get through to you sometimes, but now it's picked up. But Dumaguete is a super little town. One of our customers went to Bacolod on Sunday because of the brownout, came back this morning, and I asked him how was it, and he said, oh, it's great for shopping, but it's so boring. And Dumaguete is not boring.
No,
believe it or not, it's a nice little city.
Well, we went to Cebu for Christmas, and I was bored. I didn't walk outside Dumaguete.
Yeah. So Dumaguete's got a good vibe to it. Yeah. We haven't got the tourism that we did have, but I think it may come back.
Well, fingers crossed it does, and fingers crossed if you are planning to move on, a buyer comes along. Well, thanks for sitting down with us, EUAN. It's much appreciated. I've enjoyed that interview. You've answered quite a few questions that have been mulling around in my head for a while about why it hadn't recovered, and all the rest of that. So much appreciated. Yeah, it was great. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, why the hell not? But whether you do, whether you don't, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe, be lucky.